Point, we have all dubbed it the unaffordable housing district for obvious reasons. People always say, how much do those houses sell for? Just out to the right, swimming up into the current, and they're probably here feeding on whatever those two birds just ahead of them are feeding on. Those are cormorants. And you know, you think there's two, and then you show up and you see that there's a half dozen of them.
Ну, ага. А, uite, da. Vai, ce simpatic e. A venit, uite, rosule.
Da. Merge cu noi.
A. Da, sunt mai mulți.
Da.
We've got some waves coming here, folks. Just get your feet under you. We'll rock around a little bit here. So what we're seeing here, folks, are Atlantic bottlenose dolphins, but these are a little different than their offshore cousin, right? When you find them way offshore, if you're out in the Gulf Stream right now,
Mamă, câte
you've
bori
got a
sunt.
lot of Atlantic bottlenose dolphins out there. They're much bigger, close to 10 feet long, 1,000 pounds in some cases. They're huge. They're huge. The ones we're seing here are pretty much full grown, mostly
What's up?
females, because they stay in pods. They stay in maternal pods. The females do. The males get kicked out at 2 or 3
Da.
15 pounds. These little, the smallest little baby, yeah. So these are non-migratory species. They spend their entire lives in or around the Central Coastal Waterway. These dolphins that we're seeing right here, they could go out the
Se joacă cu ceva, nene.
Da.
Tata, aici am să ne-a scos Zandi la ocean ca să vedem cum vin rechinii la bait. câțiva. Da, da, live de. Faci bofie?
Da, face.
Ah, live de, s-a terminat. Gata.
So you'll
Era Hinga.
I'm pretty sure that's a bald eagle off the left. Flying away from us, he's being chased by a seagull. He just dipped right in front of us. I got a good look at him. Now that's an osprey there landing on that piling, but yeah, that was a bald eagle. Twice the size of an osprey. Big white fan tail with dark feathers. He stole something from that little bird. It'll cost you about $30,000 to rent that space for the evening for your event. After that building was completed, the city of St. Augustine passed an ordinance that nothing over 3 stories can be built. So that's why it's the only skyscraper we have there. To the right of the 2 towers, you'll see that smokestack there. At the base of that smokestack is where they had a series of coal-burning generators. That's how they would provide that hotel resort with electricity. They would burn up to 8 tons of coal a day. And then to the right of the smokestack, you get a really good look at the copper dome of the Henry Flagler Memorial Presbyterian Church. That's been there since 1889. Henry Flagler had that built to commemorate the 1-year anniversary of the passing of his daughter and granddaughter. They were on their way here in 1888 to visit her father, Henry Flagler, and she was pregnant, went into labor, and unfortunately neither of them survived. So he wanted that church built to commemorate the 1-year anniversary of her passing, which means he wanted it completed in less than a year. 361 days from the time they broke ground until they finished that church, which is modeled after the St. Mark's Cathedral in Venice, Italy. It is absolutely beautiful. They do self-guided tours there on Fridays and Sundays, was the last thing that I know. As with everything, it's subject to change. So, even if you have a chance to walk by it, folks, in my opinion, it's the most beautifully designed building in all of St. Augustine. So,
Și mie mi se pare la fel, ai văzut că Iuba a făcut poze la biserică. Și am fost și noi acolo prin curte. Wow, look at that. Ah!
Ого.
Да, Тимми, что?
Ого. Ого. Ого.
We're coming up on the oldest masonry fort in the continental United States here, folks. This is the Castillo de San Marcos. This fort's been here for 330 years. They started construction in 1672. They finished in 1695. So 23 years just to build it. And if you look closely at the blocks, loaded on the big wooden barges and row it all the way over here. So I'm sure they probably chose the incoming tide to
Мучите.
would want to do that into the tide for sure. But again, those walls 9 feet thick at the top, 18 feet thick at the bottom. It was military occupied for 251 continuous years without ever being taken in battle. And in 1695, when it was finished, it was a Spanish fort. Spain maintained residency here for quite a few years. Then, by way of peace treaty, they transferred to England, then went back to Spain. The United States ended up with it in the late 1800s. But again, this fort was undefeated. But the first 9, there were 9 other forts here before this one. They were all made of wood. They were not so much. They were burned to the ground. But once they discovered the coquina and were able to use it in this fashion, it really changed how well they could secure the city. At one point, this fort fell under siege, and the entire town, which probably at that time was a couple hundred people, they were inside that fort for 51 days, Roy. Roy was there, so he knows.
Ah,
Yeah. So the siege ended on Christmas Day, right?
Yeah, the day after Christmas.
So we locked all their heads on. Said, anybody else? And they were like, okay. Yes. Yeah, that's why this river out here is called Matanzas River, which translates to massacre or slaughter. That's exactly what happened. A lot of bloodshed.
huh?
It's known to be the second tallest freestanding stainless steel monument in the United States. The first can be found. Where is it? Where is the tallest stainless steel monument? No, that wouldn't be in the United States. Close. Any Cardinals fans on board? Baseball Cardinals? St. Louis Arch, you are correct, which is 630 feet. This is 208 feet, and you can't go up in this one like you can the Arch. Apparently you ride a little ratchety elevator at the top, and it sways back and forth in the wind. No, thank you. So, I'm all good with that.
Vai ce simpatic!